Hi, my name is Fred Hodges. I'm a person in long-term sustained recovery. I entered recovery about 30 years ago. My story, in some regard, is like many others, where I've had a lot of loss previous to entering recovery. I disappointed family members. I lost employment. I degraded my physical body, sustaining a broken jaw on both sides, bullet wound to my head, all because of wanting to chase crack cocaine. I was sent to prison. I was caught copping cocaine. The TNT boys got me on the way back to the house. This happened on a couple of occasions. I failed to go to court and ended up having a warrant for my arrest. I did time on several occasions, actually only 2 occasions. And that was an experience I didn't want to repeat. After the last time I had been released from jail, I came home to my then girlfriend, who took me on a beautiful cruise. We went to several Caribbean islands. I purchased clothes overseas and also jewelry, and had a good time. And when I got back, I sold the jewelry, and I stole her car and went to get high over in Queens. She called the police and reported the car stolen. And needless to say, when I got to the crack house, I ended up renting out the car to the dealer so that I could smoke more. He was apprehended with the car, and he pointed back at me, so the cops came and they picked me up. And all of a sudden I was handcuffed in the back of a car headed back to prison. And it came over me that I was really in trouble. Because when I came out of jail, I told myself I would never go back on that path again to jail, but yet here I was in the back of a patrol car on the way to jail. And I began to pray, and I began to ask God to give me another chance. And this is where I knew that there was a higher power. Suddenly the conversation between the 2 officers turned to the fact that the car was stolen from my girlfriend, and that she'd probably drop charges, and that they would have to go all the way back to the Bronx to take me back, and that there'd be a lot of paperwork. So they pulled the car over. They took the handcuffs off and they told me to get out of the car, and they drove away. This is when I knew there was a God, and that he really answered prayer. So from that point, I said to myself, I'm going into treatment. And I went into formal treatment, and I was there for over 2 years. And that is how I came into treatment, and began to really change my life. That was the precipitating event, but there were other things that had, let me know that really getting high wasn't for me. But that's the gist of it. That is how I ended up going and looking for a program so that I could change my life. Treatment was a long road. It was 2 years long. And as I stayed in treatment, I really began to surrender and to recognize that in order to really change, I needed to change my view and my attitude. That took some time. But today, I'm in a much different position. And my higher power and recovery and my network have put me in a totally different position to be able to be productive, to enjoy life, and to help others as well.